I've been writing my congressman literally every day this year for the past 54 days. He has not responded to me.
I saw that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I can help.
Maybe.
Honestly, no,
Call
maybe
Tracy
I can help.
Mann up. But
Come
seriously.
on. What kind of representative are you? Shameful, shameful.
Indeed. I recently had the opportunity to interview Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California. I caught him in South Carolina on his recent tour promoting his new memoir, Young Man in a Hurry. That's right, South Carolina.
There's a rumor going around that you might run for president in 2028.
South Carolina. This dude is running for president. I'm calling it now, bro. Anyway, I know many of you probably don't like Gavin Newsom, but many others think he very well could be our next president. So how could I pass up this opportunity? And yes, I asked him about uncapping the House.
So yeah, like I'm always zoomed out on all of American history. And so I am thinking a lot lately about federalism. And I know you brought this up recently.
Yeah.
Like for most of American history, federalism was a right-wing thing, the conservative thing, states' rights. Whereas now that has shifted. So I was wondering if you could comment on how that has dramatically shifted to be like blue states.
It wasn't that long ago where the former governor of Texas was its biggest promoter, the 10th Amendment and federalism. And they talked about seceding the state of Texas because they didn't like what was going on in Washington, D.C. And so now the foot's and the shoe's on the other foot. And so much of the dialectic, the stress that we're having between the federal government and the states is on full display, particularly as it relates to co-opting the state National Guard and federalizing it, militarizing American streets, just rank lawlessness as it relates to a private police force that seems to have taken an oath of office to Donald Trump, not the Constitution of the United States. As a former mayor, for me, cities were always laboratories of innovation, states laboratories of democracy. And in that framework, that paradigm, this notion of 10th Amendment and federalism was to exercise those democratic principles and the flexibility and the kind of innovation and daring at the state level, bottom up, to inform the larger national vision. And so I think it's foundational, and it has been eroded profoundly by Trump, but not completely yet by the courts. And I say that because we have 56 plus lawsuits against the Trump administration. So many of them are on 10th Amendment grounds and still in the process of adjudication.
Shifting gears, I didn't give you an introduction because everybody knows who you are.
Gavin.
So my viewers know who you are.
That's it.
He's a
Gavin
governor.
Newsom, former ex-mayor of San Francisco, future ex-governor of California.
California, which is basically a country at this point.
A little bit.
But so in California, there's a bill floating around that you have supported to ban social media for kids. And, we have kids, and I think we have a kid that's the same age.
We just lost half our viewers.
Stay with us.
Yeah, hold on. Let's clarify this.
Okay, but I got to ask this because, like in Australia, they did, it's already been implemented. Yeah. But then I saw a couple of news stories of showing that kids are already finding ways around it. So logistically, how would this work?
Well, no one knows. And I talked to the vice premier. I was actually in Munich during the security conference, and I talked to representatives from the Australian government about how the implementation's going. They said about 4.7 million accounts have been deleted under the ban. I think they have 10 different social media platforms, the biggest, obviously, Instagram, Snapchat, and others. But it's imperfect in terms of its application. Many other European nations are looking at it, but trying to figure out the enforcement component, including the Prime Minister of Spain, who also is promoted. What I'm promoting is child safety. What I'm promoting for is some age gating that's reasonable to address some of the content and to address this fundamental bottom line. We have the most anxious generation in our history, the most socially isolated, depressed, less free, more addicted. And I got 4 kids, so it's not an intellectual exercise. And we're battling it all the time. And as parents, we need help. I mean, it's one thing to preach, it's another practice. And the addictive nature of what's going on is something we just have to address. In California, since we are the birthplace, the mothership of so much of this, dynamism, and we dominate 32 of the top 50 AI companies, and we're way out front, obviously, with the Mag 7 and so many of, the West Coast, and so much of technological advancements coming in social media as birthplace. But we have a special responsibility to come up with strategies for privacy, come up with a regulatory regime that supports risk-taking but not recklessness, and particularly as it relates to our kids, to protect our kids. So we're figuring it out. There's no bill that we have endorsed. There are many ideas that are being discussed. We're discussing with the industry as well, because I think even the industry is recognizing. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's in court as we speak on these issues. There's 1,000 lawsuits behind that one he's currently addressing, that things are going to shift and things are changing in real time. Parents are demanding it.
You've led the charge with the gerrymandering war. Representation obviously is a big problem in this country, and it's really near and dear to my heart. One specific issue that's a little bit niche that I was wanting to get your opinion on, because my viewers all know about it. Have you heard about uncapping the House of Representatives, expanding the size of the House of Representatives? And
all right, you want more of them, do you? Wow.
See, that's the most common counter argument.
I get it.
We need more of you, yes.
Okay, yeah, wow.
But seriously, no, I mean, like, okay, I've been writing my congressman literally every day this year for the past 54 days. He has not responded to me.
I saw that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I can help.
Maybe.
Yeah, honestly, no,
Call
maybe
Tracy
I can help.
Manna, but
Come
seriously.
on. What kind of representative are you? Shameful, shameful. 54 days, that's persistence.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep doing it, but you
want more people not to return your emails and texts?
I think it's more likely I'll get a return message
if you have more choice.
Yeah.
Well, what people want is more choice, more voice.
There you go.
You got to meet people where they are, and I think we have to be. Democratic Party needs to be reform oriented. We can't be the party defending the status quo. And one of the things we can't defend is all the stock trades in Congress, all the inside information. We can't defend the revolving door of elected officials becoming lobbyists. And frankly, I can't defend people who have been there 40, 70, 60 years and are totally out of touch. And nor can I defend, despite what we did as a temporary response to Donald Trump's effort to rig the election, gerrymandered districts. We need independent redistricting. That's why what we did in California was temporary, transparent, and democratic. We put it to the voters, the first redistrict lines that were ever put to the voters, and we said it's for 3 cycles, and we want to revert back. And in the legislation, or rather in the initiative, the policy statement below was we support a national independent redistricting commission so that we can ultimately make these districts more competitive. So I think those are reforms that we should lean into, and we should certainly hold our elected officials to a higher level of accountability on day 55 of
there you go. Look at this guy. I got one more question for you. You'll understand. Maybe you won't understand.
Are you putting glasses on?
Yeah.
This is the dark Brandon version of you. Yeah.
Okay, so we've never had a Gen X president before. You mentioned 50-year politicians. So term limits is a separate issue, but there's a lot of rumors going around that you're going to. Is it light?
It's not on. Okay, here we go with the Zuckerberg glasses.
Yeah, he recognized him. Okay.
I get it. I know.
There's a rumor going around that you might run for president in 2028. I'm known as the president's guy online. Like I have
like that guy.
Videos about presidents left and right. You have spoken about being the big tent party. You're a pragmatic guy. But there's some people that are outside of the tent. They don't want to come into the tent. Yeah. How are you going to reel them in? It seems like they just well, he's with the billionaires and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So what would you say to those folks?
Well, when I talk about the big tent party, I'm for addition, not subtraction. If you want to win campaigns, you want enduring campaigns, you want enduring movements that actually can make a damn difference as opposed to make a point. You got to win. And the way you win is you get more people on your side. None of us are perfect. I mean, there's not, you want a litmus test. I mean, ask anyone who's ever been, come on.
My wife is perfect.
She's perfect. You're the one exception.
Yeah.
I get it.
But I get what
we
you're
certainly
saying,
know this congressperson's not. But the point is, if we're going to, I just think if we get into the purity tests, then we could lose this republic. We're dealing with an existential crisis this moment. We're dealing with an invasive species in Donald Trump. This guy has no moorings. He doesn't care about the rule of law. He doesn't care about court decisions. He doesn't care about institutions. He feels he has immunity by the time the Supreme Court even adjudicates on something. It could be a year, 2 years too late, and the damage will already be done. At that point, if we're just going to sit here and say, well, give me, I agree on 83 out of the 86 issues, you're gone. Not interested. I'm not, that guy's a sellout. we're in real trouble as a party. And I remember my grandfather's party, the old Democratic Party, that was a Big Tent party. And that's the party that built the middle class. That's the party of racial justice, social justice, economic justice. They delivered results. And I love the rhetoric. But with all due respect, the reason I did Prop 50 was I didn't want to have a candlelight vigil. I didn't want to write an op-ed. I didn't want everyone to say, boy, he's so right and pure. I want to win. Yeah. Because we can't afford to lose anymore. And so, yeah, I'm a Big Tent guy, and I have a little grace. And I say that as a guy who did same-sex marriage in 2004, and I was on the outside of my party because they thought I was too extreme when I was marrying same-sex couples. And they were out there saying, well, maybe we'll talk about civil unions. I don't dismiss those that believed separate was equal. That was the argument. There's still some of the leaders in our Democratic Party. They didn't believe in marriage equality. They believed separate was equal. We're here in the South. That's pretty remarkable when it comes to marriage. So I'm not castigating them. I'm not throwing them out. They eventually came around. Mm-hmm. Some may disagree. Doesn't mean we can't work on all those other issues. So goes my point.
Thank you very much for your time, Governor. Thanks for being here. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, guys.
I know that was cringy, wasn't it?
No, it's not cringy. That's funny.